Carla had the perfect life, until 7 men took everything from her. But they made one fatal mistake. Now, one by one, she's crossing names off her list. But let's start at the beginning, back when Carla still believed in justice. Carla and Harris celebrate her birthday at an expensive restaurant. They have no idea this is their last night together. In the parking lot, they spot a woman being harassed. Harris jumps in to help, but the criminal fights back, then pulls out a gun, overpowers Harris, and knocks him down. Carla screams for help, but people in nearby houses just shut their windows and look away. No one comes to help. Desperate, she begs the criminal to let them go. Instead, he mocks her. Then, without warning, he turns the gun on Harris and fires. Carla tries to fight back, but the criminal takes off just as the police arrive. He gets away and Harris doesn't make it. Heartbroken and determined to find the man who ended her husband's life, she hires a detective to help. But there's a problem. No witnesses will talk. The people who saw everything refuse to come forward. Even the woman Harris tried to protect stays silent. Her struggles make her testimony unreliable. With no solid leads, the detective tells Carla he will keep digging. But for now, there's nothing else he can do. So to stay safe, Carla decides to leave the city and move back in with her parents in the quiet little town where she grew up. After several long hours on the road, Carla pulls into a small gas station to fill up and unexpectedly encounters Burke, her high school ex. He's working there with his friend Sparky. He flatters her, says she still looks just as great as ever. Then, with a smirk, he suggests she should call him if she ever wants excitement. Carla is disgusted and drives away. At her parents' place, things finally feel normal. Their warm hugs provide the grieving widow the much-needed comfort. The next morning, Carla meets Timmy, the gardener. He's been sweating through yard work and nervously asks Carla for water. Carla smiles kindly as he fumbles and nearly trips. After a few quiet days at home, Carla finally decides to go into town for some groceries. A truck driver sees her pulling into the parking lot and purposely blocks her path. He steps out and starts flirting, but when Carla makes it clear she's not interested, his attitude shifts fast. Out of nowhere, he accuses her of hitting his truck. A police officer nearby hears the commotion and steps in. Carla calmly explains that nothing happened, but the officer doesn't seem convinced. He sizes her up, assuming she's some privileged city woman trying to bend the rules. He demands her ID and starts grilling her with questions that feel more like accusations. Eventually, he turns to the truck driver, and the man finally admits Carla never touched the vehicle. Finally, free to go, Carla heads to the supermarket. At the butcher's counter, a man named Fletch notices the unfamiliar face. He introduces himself, then casually asks if she'd like to go out sometime. Carla politely declines. She's still mourning her husband, and her heart is far from ready. That night, Carla's parents head out of town for a short trip they had planned long before she arrived. They encourage her to spend time with others while they're away, but Carla decides she'd rather be alone for the evening. After a while, though, the quiet starts to wear on her. So she changes her mind and heads out to a popular local bar. It's a place where a lot of the town gathers, and she figures a little socializing might help. She notices Burke again, this time surrounded by a group of men. A short distance away, she also spots some familiar faces. Estelle and her husband, a couple she knew back in school. At first, the reunion feels casual, but it doesn't stay that way. As the conversation goes on, Estelle's tone shifts. Her comments become passive-aggressive. She even goes so far as to make jabs about Carla's marriage and the fact that she never had children. Feeling hurt and fed up, Carla walks away and orders a drink at the bar. Even here, she can't catch a break. The bartender crosses the line with crude remarks. Carla shuts him down and storms out. In the parking lot, as she's about to leave, Fletch shows up out of nowhere and insists on giving her a ride. Carla refuses, clearly and firmly, but he doesn't take the hint, forcing her to defend herself. What makes it worse is that Timmy sees the whole thing but doesn't lift a finger. Later that night, Timmy takes things further. He lurks around Carla's house. This time, she catches him. She takes action, reporting both Fletch and Timmy to the authorities. But the response she gets is anything but reassuring. Katz brushes it off. He calls Timmy's behavior harmless, even tells Carla to just close the curtains. He shrugs off the town's men as being a little wild, and even suggests she take it as flattery. Still, he privately warns Fletch to stay away from Carla. Some time passes, and one night at Ray's bar, a familiar group of men gather. Ray, Burke, Fletch, Sparky, Ernie, and Timmy all sit around drinking together. Each of these men has one thing in common. They've all been rejected by Carla. One by one, they complain about how she made them feel small, convinced she thinks she's better than any of them. Timmy, already drunk and desperate to stand out, claims things went differently for him. He brags about Carla and even lies that she enjoys his attention. But the worst part, he tells them she's home alone right now. Timmy's words plant something dark in the group. The drunk and angry men make their way to Carla's house. They knock on her door, pretending to be friendly visitors. Carla, unsuspecting, lets them in. But once inside, their true intentions are revealed. Timmy, passed out drunk on the floor, wakes up and realizes what's happening. He tries to intervene, but no one listens. Instead, they shove him aside. Then, a car pulls into the driveway. Carla's parents are home early. They'd planned to surprise their daughter. They burst through the door, only to find chaos. Her mother rushes to comfort her. Her father grabs his rifle. In the struggle, the gun goes off. Carla's mother falls, and Carla collapses with her. Burke seizes the moment. He overpowers Carla's father and kills him. Timmy panics, heads for the door, determined to tell the police, but he never makes it. Fletch silences him forever. Afterwards, the group panics. Burke takes charge, quickly pulling together a plan. They decide to blame everything on Timmy. They plant evidence, stage the scene to make it look like Carla's father tried to defend his family. They leave the scene, completely unaware that Carla is still alive. Hours later, Carla regains consciousness and manages to call the police. The scene is quickly secured, and her parents' bodies are removed. Sheriff Cates takes over the case, and he doesn't buy the obvious story. He notices something strange. The rifle is in the wrong hand. Everyone knows Carla's father was left-handed. Carla can't explain it to the sheriff. The trauma has left her unable to speak. Days pass, but the 5 remaining men can't move on. The incident haunts them, and they begin turning on each other. Fletch tries to calm them, insisting what's done is done. They need to stick together and keep their stories straight. But then, Fletch learns from Cates that Carla is still alive and undergoing treatment. They all know Carla will eventually talk, but they decide to stay and monitor her progress, since fleeing town would look suspicious. The next day, Sheriff Cates visits the hospital, demanding to question Carla. The doctor lets him see her, but refuses to allow an interview. Carla is still not speaking. The sheriff grows suspicious, even wondering if Carla might be a suspect rather than a victim. Then in the next room, another patient, who survived same ugly experience as Carla, suddenly breaks down, screaming about revenge. The outburst pierces through Carla's numbness, igniting a rage deep inside her. That night, under the cover of pounding rain, she slips out of the hospital and heads to Ray's bar. Ray is alone. He's behind the bar and doesn't realize it's Carla he's casually chatting with. Carla pulls his weapon from behind the counter. She orders him to soak the place in alcohol. He hesitates, pleads, blames the booze for everything. Carla doesn't flinch. She lights a candle, lets it fall. Flames rush across the bar. By morning, news of the bar fire spreads through town, and the remaining men sense Carla is behind it. They plot to confront Carla at the hospital. Yet after her first act of revenge, Carla starts to regain her strength. With the doctor's approval, she begins spending time outdoors, always silent, never speaking. Sheriff Cates keeps a close eye on her. Slowly, he starts to see Carla not as a victim, but as something far more dangerous. Still, a small part of him isn't sure, so he tests the waters. That evening, he heads over to the local bowling alley, where Fletch and his gang are gathered. Keeping it casual, he mentions that Carla seems to be healing, and that she's getting stronger. Then he watches as the men tense, just a little. When he leaves, the group talks it over, and Burke decides to take matters into his own hands and check on her himself. The next day, Burke watches Carla from a speedboat as she walks near the river. She notices him and seizes the opportunity. With deliberate grace, she lures him in. Burke is caught off guard. He hadn't expected to see her like this. He follows as she steps into the water, too distracted to notice the look in her eyes or her calm, calculated movements. Before Burke realizes it, Carla strips him of the very weapon he once used to humiliate her. That night, police pull Burke's remains from the water. His death marks the 5th homicide in a week, more than the small town has seen in years. Sheriff Cates turns his focus to Carla, but she's gone. All that remains is a single drawing in her sketchbook, a pair of scales. Upon hearing this, Fletch wastes no time. He rallies the town, claiming Carla has lost her mind and poses a threat to everyone, especially their children. Sheriff Cates steps in before things get out of control. He forces the mob to back off, making it clear this is a matter for law enforcement, not vigilantes. But the damage is done. Not long after slipping out of the hospital, Carla sneaks into Sparky's gas station. He's under a car doing repairs, completely unaware she's there. She bumps into a trash can, loud enough to alert Sparky. A cop, Sparky's buddy, shows up, weirdly shining a flashlight around even though it's broad daylight. Carla hides and he doesn't see her. Once the cop is gone and Sparky slides back under the car, Carla makes her move. She releases the jack, and the car drops on Sparky. Without hesitation, Carla shifts it into gear. The tires roll forward, dragging him as the vehicle slams into a fuel tank. The impact triggers an explosion that engulfs the entire place in flames. As Carla takes off, she blows past a police checkpoint. They mobilize all units to chase her down, but thanks to her evasive driving, she escapes into the forest. Having been raised here, Carla knows the woods well and easily hides. As night falls, the police fail to find her. Now 3 of the men who wronged her are gone. Only 2 remain. Next on our list, Ernie, the truck driver. He works at the local ice factory. Just as he gets a call from Fletch, warning him about Sparky's death and saying he's pulling together a hunting crew, Carla makes her move. He survives the hit, suffering just a leg injury. Ernie hunts Carla through the factory with his weapon and they engage in a fight. Carla eventually pushes him into an ice-cutting machine. Fletch and his team arrive, spot Carla, and the chase starts all over again. The police also join in, and eventually, Carla's truck crashes. Forced to flee on foot, she runs the rest of the way home. More townspeople join the hunt until a full-blown mob gathers outside her house. Carla barricades the doors and escapes through an air vent, just as the mob sets her house on fire. Sheriff Cates shows up to find the chaos and demands answers. Fletch shrugs it off. He congratulates Cates that his troubles are over. Cates lets him go, but later at the ice factory, he confronts Fletch. He reveals he wasn't fooled. He doesn't believe this was random. Carla went after his friends for a reason. He warns Fletch that Carla's body was never found and suggests he watch his back, because he might be next on her list. One night, just as Fletch is locking up his butcher shop, Carla suddenly appears and attacks him. Fletch grabs the nearest thing he can find and the two face off, using every tool in the shop as weapons against each other. At some point, Fletch charges at her. Carla spots a weapon, one that looks exactly like the weapon used on her family. She grabs it and shoots Fletch. Not long after, authorities discover Fletch's body. Sheriff Cates finds a bloody drawing of scales at the scene. Then he receives a call from Detective Rusho. They finally captured the man who shot Carla's husband, but they need Carla to confirm his identity within 24 hours, or they'll have to release him. In this moment, Cates realizes the truth. Carla has taken justice into her own hands. Knowing it's too late to undo what's been done, he lies to protect her, telling the detective Carla didn't make it. 2 months later in New York City, Carla resurfaces. She's finally tracked down her husband's killer. In a dark alley, she lures him in and repeats the same chilling words he once said before ending Harris's life. Then, with steady hands, she pulls the trigger. Her revenge complete.